Hello gardeners, I'm Joe Gadbois, one of the managers here at Greenland Garden Center, and today we're looking at our top 10 houseplants for air purification. All right, so coming in at number 10, we've got snake plant. Always very popular. This is one of the absolute easiest houseplants to grow. This guy will tolerate low light, doesn't need a lot of water. The easiest way to kill it is to overwater. It'll grow just about anywhere, likes to be root bound. You can get these guys in many different color patterns as well as dwarf bird's nest forms. They're not always these tall, skinny guys, and great for purifying your air on top of being easy to grow and attractive. So that's the snake plant. Number 9, we have peace lily. Classic house plant. This guy blooms almost non-stop. Produces these nice white flowers, which are sometimes sweetly scented. Easy to grow, kind of the opposite of the snake plant where it likes to be consistently moist. But the nice thing is it lets you know when it needs water. The leaves wilt, give it water, and they come right back up. So keep this guy consistently moist. Also grows in low light, doesn't need a heck of a lot of light. Very, very simple and great for air purification. Number 8. We have Dracaena. Now these guys, they come in a number of different sort of forms. A lot of your sort of classic houseplants belong to this group. So things like the dragon tree, which is what this guy is, the corn plant. A lot of the really popular old-fashioned houseplants are Dracaenas, and they're great for purifying air. Again, easy to grow, very simple, bright indirect light. Allow the soil to dry partially between waterings. Common thing with these is you get the brown leaf tips. That's when they've dried out too much. So don't let them dry out so much and you won't see as much of that. Otherwise, very simple to grow. Number 7, we have ferns. There are many different types of ferns and they're one of the best plants for low light areas. They do appreciate higher humidity. So they're great for like a bathroom. If you have a window in your bathroom, they really love that sort of environment. If your house is dry in the winter, mist them on a daily basis and they'll thank you for it. Keep the soil moist at all times. These guys, if they dry out, the fronds turn brown on you and get brown tips. So do not let them dry out. Other than that, very simple and great for keeping that fresh air in your home and filtering out any nasty impurities. Coming in at number 6, we have Chinese evergreen, another classic. This plant is one of the absolute most beautiful foliage plants you can grow in the home. You can get them in many different color forms. Some of them are splashed with pink. Some of them are splashed in sort of silvery green like this guy. Lots of different ones available. Very easy to grow. Again, they love lower light. So great for people who don't have super bright windows. You can grow them just about anywhere without too much light, and they like to be grown on the dry side. So again, very forgiving, unlike the ferns, as far as drying out. You can let these guys dry out and they'll be totally fine. Be sure not to overwater, however, because you will get rot if you do that. At number 5, we have palms. Now this is a baby areca palm. Obviously palms, as they get older, grow into good-sized trees. There's many different types. In general, these guys do appreciate higher humidity and bright indirect light. If, again, you have lower light during the winter, misting them on a daily basis is beneficial. You will get brown tips on the foliage if the humidity is low and if they dry out too much. So they like to dry out slightly between waterings, but they don't like to be dry for extended periods of time. So keep the soil evenly moist, but not wet. At number 4, we have the philodendron. Now, philodendrons can be trailing, hanging plants like this guy. This is called Brazil. They can also be more upright, sort of clumping plants. Beautiful foliage on them. You can get many different types that have different patterns and colors of foliage. These guys like to have bright but indirect light, and they like to dry out slightly between waterings. They do not like to be wet. They'll rot if they're too wet, but they also don't like to be bone dry for a long time. So just let the top couple inches of soil dry out between watering, and you'll be just fine with those guys. At number 3, we have Pothos. Similar to the Philodendron, you can see you can get very bright, beautiful colors like this one, which is called neon. This is one of the absolute easiest houseplants to grow. It'll grow in low light, low humidity, tolerates underwatering very well, so you can let it dry out and it will just keep coming back for more. Do not overwater this guy, again, because it will rot if it's too wet. So err on the dry side for the most part, but it is a pretty carefree plant, and again, great for purifying the air. At number 2, we have English ivy. Another trailing plant, great for in hanging baskets. It'll also climb if it has a support. Classic house plant, simple care. It'll tolerate lower light, prefers bright indirect light, doesn't like hot sun. Let it dry out a bit between waterings. Don't let it completely dry out, and never overwater it. Wet soil will rot this guy out as well. And at number 1, spider plant. People have been growing this as a favorite house plant for generations, and for good reason. Very easy to grow, and it has always been well known as one of the best plants for purifying the air in your home. Carefree plant that tolerates lower light, prefers bright indirect light. The soil should dry out slightly between waterings. These ones, again, very commonly get the brown leaf tips, which can be from drying out too much, from low humidity, and from excess salt in the water. So be sure to flush the soil out with pure water, such as rainwater or reverse osmosis water once in a while to leach those salts out. But very simple to grow, great in hanging baskets, on pedestals. You can get them in different leaf forms, but they are all really nice plants and tough to kill, honestly.
We're going to stop at, this is one of my favorites, and this is a plant that's really popular right now. This is the Monstera, Monstera deliciosa. This is a plant also better known as a split leaf philodendron. Now this guy, we have them available as a small plant, as you can see here, only in a 4-inch pot, to something really large, like we have a huge specimen, and I'll just show it to you over here. These guys are very forgiving, great for low light, and I love them simply because of the fact that if you forget to water them, it doesn't hurt. It's like, oh well, I forgot to water it. They don't mind whatsoever. They don't mind the drying out in between, a good watering and a drying out period. It does not hurt them one bit. So they're a very forgiving plant, great air purifier. Anytime you have a plant that has a lot of leaf surface like that, that really is one of the best plants for your indoor environment. Secondly, we're going to go to another member of the philodendron, and this is called the Swiss cheese plant. Also a very trending plant right now. You can get this plant as a hanging basket. You can get them growing on a pole, and we have some in the store as well. And it's a very unique plant. This plant was around probably about 50, 60 years ago, lost its popularity. Now it's one of the most trendiest plants out there. Again, a very easy to grow plant, great for your indoor environment. And it's a plant that it prefers to be consistently moist to slightly dry. This is one you don't want to overwater. So that is the Swiss cheese plant, better known as Monstera adansonii. We're going through the greenhouse here again. We have, like, philodendrons are a huge group of plants. We also go into figs, ficus. Now this is the fiddle leaf fig. Now fiddle leaf figs, as you can see, this is the little guy. This is called little fiddle, and this is the dwarf version, the short version. We have some larger ones back over in the greenhouse right back here, and as you can see, you can also get them on a standard or a stalk, and they're specifically trained that way, whereby when they're young, they're trained to one single stem, and then you have this sort of tree-like effect. You can get them in that stage. You can also get them in something that's really large, that they're not trimmed, where they're a large bush form. You can also get them in a columnar form. Now, with fiddle leaf figs, their culture very simple. Basically, they prefer a consistently moist soil, and a bright room. They don't have to be in direct light, which is really important because some people don't have direct windows that face south or west where the sun is really just consistently in your face. These guys prefer just a brightly lit room. So if you have an area in the home that's maybe 6, 7, 8 feet away from a south window or a west window, great. If you have an east window or north window, you'll put them right in the window. That's what they prefer. A lot of these plants as well, in the summertime, anything that does not like much light, in the wintertime, keep them in the full sun. Summertime, back them away from the window. So that is your fiddle leaf fig, Ficus lyrata. And in front of them, another group of plants, very leafy, and they come with so many different varieties here as well. And this is the old-fashioned peace lily. Now, peace lilies, again, like I said, a lot of varieties, some that have got really large leaves like this. We've also got some that are back over here, which have got a lot finer leaf and a deeper colored leaf, but this is the flower on them. Very nice. It's probably the best choice for a plant in a low light condition. Again, huge leaf surface, very easy to grow. The main thing with them is you want to make sure that they are consistently kept moist. They do not like to be dried out because what happens if you allow them to dry out too much to the stage of wilting, you will have brown tips on the leaves. And that's a very, very common problem. Again, a good air purifier. So this is Spathiphyllum, is the Latin name on this guy. Again, easy to grow, one of the most forgiving plants out there. We're also going to go back here, actually just back over in the greenhouse this way. We're going to talk about another large group of plants, and these are the snake plants, the sansevierias. There are so many different varieties of sansevierias. As you can see, the leaf coloration here, we have this huge wide leaf type called jaboa, and I just absolutely love this plant simply because it gets really tall. This one can get as high as 5-6 feet, and it's got a very nice wide leaf to it. That's one of my favorites, and a brand new variety that just was released this year is called Whitney, and this is a very unique variety. We're really fortunate to have this variety in the store this year, simply because of the coloration is different, the form is different on this plant. It's nice and thick, a thick grower, doesn't get too tall, but a really very elegant, contemporary looking type of plant in the right environment. So that is, again, one of my brand new favorites. An old standby here, this one as well. This is probably the most popular at the present time. This is Sansevieria laurentii, and as you can see, it's got the variegated leaf to it. Again, you know, a nice contrasting plant. Now, one thing with all the sansevierias, which is really important to keep in mind, a very easy, forgiving plant to grow. This is one that the only way you can kill it is if you overwater it. So you do not want to be heavy on watering. This is a plant as well that you want to water it maybe once a month during the winter months, once every 6 weeks, something like that, from about November till the end of February. Beyond that, you're going to be watering these guys roughly about once every 3 weeks throughout the summer months. Fertilizing, something like a triple 20, maybe once a month is all that they require. Very simple, foolproof plant, and highly, highly recommended. Back over here, we have another really good air purifying plant. This is the old-fashioned spider plant, Chlorophytum. Now, this is a variegated form. This is a variety that you can't kill spider plants. They're very animal friendly. So if you're concerned as well about plants that if you've got a small dog, you've got a cat, even kids that like to chew on things, well, this is something that is one of the best. It's also a great plant for your children. If, for example, if you want to introduce your kids into growing houseplants, something very simple like this will work. So great, easy, simple plant to introduce your children to. Like I said, easy to grow. You want to keep them consistently moist to slightly dry. You don't want to rot them, so don't keep them really soggy wet. Now, another plant back here that we can talk about are palm trees. Now palm trees, they come in a wide array of different forms, different textures. Some of them are a lot easier to grow than a lot of people think. And one of the best, actually, is back here. This is the phoenix palm. Now this guy over here, they call it phoenix palm, they also call it the pygmy date palm. Now this thing, as you can see, is very, very elegant, and it's one of these palms that can take dry conditions, especially in our dry home environments in the wintertime. When the furnace is consistently on and the air is very dry, this guy shows absolutely no ill effects whatsoever. A lot of the traditional palms, like Eureka palms that you will find very common in stores, tend to get browning on the tips. This guy, you'll never see that. These actually prefer a dry environment, dry air. You'll see large specimen of these guys growing down in Arizona, for example, just right out in the blazing heat. Same in California. And this plant, as you can see, has got a beautiful form to it, and it develops a slight bit of bulbous form at the base, which is very common, very normal, but this is one of the easiest palms to start out with. As far as lighting conditions go, the brighter the better, but it does not have to be in a completely full sun type of environment, and it will do really well for you. So that pretty much wraps up today's tour of the greenhouse and some of my favorite air purifying plants for your home environment. Just a quick reminder as well, we have currently available curbside pickup, and how that works is if you see something that you like, go on our website and you can give us a quick call, phone in an order to us, and we'll prepare it for you. We'll take your credit card and we'll have it all ready for you as a pickup. And so what you do is you pull up to the store, give us a quick call, and we'll take it out to your vehicle. So have a great afternoon, everyone, and thank you for watching.